Hey everyone, this is Chuck Hogan from Your Best Life, and welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download both the Zingo TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. Now, while you download, make sure that you rate and leave a comment. The app's completely free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, and Roku sticks, also on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. So I know I say this every week, but I hope you're excited because we have the most amazing guest on today. She is a fellow host of her own show. And, Paola is one of those people that when you meet her, you just know that she's filled with wisdom. She always has this gregarious smile. She's upbeat and ready to serve. And what I love is her vision right now of helping people find their purpose. Like it's such a beautiful thing to be able to meet a cohort in crime who's helping the world become a better place. And so, Paola, thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate having you on.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Now, Paola, remind me, where do you call home?
Oh, where do I call home? Where my family is at. I'm in Oklahoma right now.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Well, and I'm in Dallas, so in fact, we'll be in Oklahoma in a couple weeks. So it's a beautiful place to visit. I love it there. It's interesting when you get to kind of like the heartland of America, this kind of core of the country. There's, I'll say, earthy values and lots of family-oriented exchange. And it's such a blessing, isn't it? I mean, it's been such a beautiful place to raise a family.
Yes, that's what I am very grateful for because I'm originally I'm from Mexico.
Yes.
And being here and with 3 kids, it feels really good being able to stay in this town and raise my kids.
Wonderful. And again, it's such a beautiful testament to having options, opportunities, and the availability of just to be able to expand and grow. Because it's one of the things now that I actually believe that when we're creating purpose in life, that for many of us, it really comes down to possibilities.
Oh, yes.
It's like, because if you feel like the glass ceiling's over you and you're not able to expand or grow, it's like, okay, I saw this go in a whole different way.
Yeah.
And and I'd love to get your input on this. What would you say about someone who's like going, but what does it have to do with your purpose?
Everything has to do with your purpose because that's your pull. That's the reason why you're going to get up in the morning and do the workout or take your kids to school or have that hard conversation at times with your kids or whoever you need to have that conversation with. If you want to be an awesome leader, then we have to put in that in practice. And that's our purpose, be good leaders for our kids. And, we got to do the job.
Oh, definitely. And thank you for that. That's such a beautiful testament to who you are and the belief systems around finding purpose. There's so many people who I believe now are lost and they're trying to find, why am I here? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And I was like, ooh, that's a loaded question. And I often come back and say, well, who do you need to be? Who do you need to be? And they go, well, what do you mean, Chuck? I said, well, I don't know. I'll ask Paola. But I did give them a response. And someone, and again, love to hear your feedback on this and your feed forward. I oftentimes say that there's a lot of people who are doing their best. And I go, okay, that's great. What does that mean to you? And how does it make you feel when you're doing your best? And they go, oh, well, it can be tiring. And I go, okay, but do you feel rewarded? Not always. Like, oh, why? They go, well, because, I chose a career where I'm just doing what people tell me to do. There's these rules. It's what's expected. And I have to do it this way. And I go, you have to do it only one way, one specific way? And I go, well, it's better if I do. I don't get in trouble that way. And I go, okay. And if you were being your best, would you do it differently? Wait, what? If you were being your best, would you do it differently? And they're like going, I would. Right? Great. And how would that make you feel? They go, really good. Is that simple? And I go, yeah, you pretty much, the quality of your life is how you feel. So, Paola, what do you say to someone, or what advice would you give someone when they're going, okay, my friend Paola, how do I find my purpose? Because it's lost. I left it in the forest someplace. I was walking in the dark and I forgot my purpose.
I would say get to know you,
Mm,
accept you, and know that there are many choices out there, that we're not stuck, that the way we grew up, the way we were programmed, and we continue to be programmed can change. There is a choice out there for you to make. Every single day there is a choice. Like we were talking about marriage a while ago. We'll be 20 years married here in a few days. You said you've been married for 36 years.
36 years,
Yeah.
yes.
And it's a choice. It's like it's a choice to say I choose you. I tell my, even if I don't say like with my voice, there's mornings where it's like I just look at him and I said, I choose you. So I
Yes,
choose to love you. And the day begins. So it's a choice. We have a choice. Every day we have a choice.
absolutely. Well, I get up in the morning and I turn to my wife and I say, I'm not going anywhere. And she goes, no. But after 36,
Ah.
we still have fun, and we still I actually believe we're closer now than we've ever been. And to your point, it's literally knowing that we get to
Yes,
have to,
yes.
right? Because there are some people who are stuck in have tos, and I go, wow, how did you get there? And they're, oh, I don't know. We got these things called rings. We made these things called vows. I said, I think she said I do first. Yep, ladies go first. And then I said I do. And all of a sudden we have kids at a house and two dogs and a mortgage. And it's like, uh-huh. And how's that working out? They're like going, it's busy. I'm doing a lot. I go, okay, great. And how do you feel? See, I'm a weird guy because I bring people back to feelings. And they're like going, why do you do that? I said, well, in fact, I don't even ask people how they're doing. I ask them how they're feeling.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's an interesting question. Why? I said, well, I found out a long time ago that in your unconscious mind, that if you ask someone how they're doing, you'll get a meta report. You will get literally a laundry list of things that they're doing that have nothing to do with the quality of their life. It's just a laundry list of activities. When you ask someone how they're feeling, you actually get to bypass all this confusion and you're going to the core of them, which is residing here. And it's like, ooh, okay. Well, I felt frustrated lately. Well, so what does that mean? What does it mean? That I think and I feel that I could be doing more or being better. So, okay, so what would that take? So I go, are you taking me through a process? No, I'm asking questions. This is called a conversation. And the strange part about it, Paola, we used to do this all the time when, sitting around when there was, I don't know about, you're much younger than I am. So I remember the days of TV where like I was the remote control. There was no clicker. My father would say, go over and change the channel. And I was like, fun. Okay, that's my responsibility. I'm the eldest child. I control the channel switching. And so but I kind of laugh about it now because I go, we used to shut the TV off during dinner. And we didn't have to worry about having cell phones around. We didn't have to worry about having all these devices because
Yeah.
a phone call had a cord connect to it. And the only privacy you had is as long as the cord reached. That's the amount of privacy you had.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it was a different time. So dinners and engagements and conversation became part of the day.
Yeah.
And I wonder how many families out there that are listening to us tonight have that kind of same ritual.
Ooh.
What are some of your rituals for catching up with your children and your spouse that your family has adopted that help elevate that sense of fulfilling your purpose by being an amazing wife and mother and patron and matriarch of your family, because we wear so many different hats, right?
Yes, definitely.
What are some of the things that you love to share with your family that you're creating examples for your children as well?
I love to have one-on-one time with each of my kids, and at the same time, when we're all having a good time, as long as they're laughing and enjoying, each other, the activity, then of course, as a mom, I am having a blast. So with my oldest, he's 18, and right now he has a responsibility to take his sister to dance, but I go with him.
Okay.
So he drive us to the dance studio. We drop her off, and then after that, he's like, "You want to go get coffee?" He's 18. I let him lead. I was like, "Sure, let's go have some coffee." And then we sit down, and for that 45 minutes, and I get to hear if he wants to talk to me. I get to hear how the day went, what he's thinking, what he's planning.
Beautiful.
And yes, and then with my 6-year-old, she's a girl, so she's all like, "What are we gonna wear tomorrow? What she's gonna wear tomorrow?" And how school was. So it's easier with her because she's younger,
Yes.
and I give her, that quality of time. And I try to do it every day. Like between our busy schedule, I try to be present. If she has to tell me something, is like I force myself to be like, okay, if like, because I might be cooking, I might be doing something, and I'm like, okay, no, tell me, 5-10 minutes are I'm all yours.
Yep.
And then I have a teenager, about to be a teenager. He's going to be 13, so he's more challenging because he likes to be in his room playing with his friends online or on his phone talking to a friend. Now it's like they do the FaceTime, and they talk and they play at the same time. It's different.
Oh,
So I was like, okay, can you please give me 20 minutes?
oh no,
So
you have to schedule it.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. It's like,
in between levels, can you pause the game
yes,
so I can share some time with you?
yes, yes. And sometimes he doesn't want to.
Mm.
But it's like there's his, here's your favorite spaghetti. Let's just sit down and tell me how's your day? How are you doing?
Oh,
You know?
food is currency.
Yes.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's like
Yes.
you want to get someone's attention, you're like going, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yes. Come over here. Look what I got. Yes, especially with boys. That's what I found out.
And so you have two boys and one girl,
2 boys and 1 girl.
and she's in between.
She's the youngest one.
Okay,
She's
got it, got it.
6. She's
Yes.
6 years old.
Wow, wow. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, we have a 23, a college grad boy, and then a 20-year-old daughter in university, and then we have a 17-year-old, so my youngest.
Wow.
So it's humbling.
It's humbling.
But I love those rituals that you have. And when they were young, I used to do this thing which I loved doing, and I miss this actually. And you know, and there's no reason why I can't do it again. I used to take each one for a weekend, and we'd go just one on one, and it didn't have to be anything crazy. Like we go to San Antonio, and then hang out at the Riverwalk, and then go to SeaWorld one day, or go down to Houston to the Johnson Space Center and hang out, and then go to Galveston for a day. And these little trips were so endearing because it was just the two of us. And it's that proximity and the openness, and then all kinds of questions like about my childhood. And I'm from Japan originally. And so having an Irish father and a Japanese mother was interesting in and of itself, because when people see the pictures of my parents, my mom's like 4'11 and a half, 85 pounds, portable. My dad is, redhead, blue eyed Irishman. And it's like, wait, what? What you get? And so
Oh,
I say that kind of tongue in cheek because it was so nice to be able to have them interested. And what really warms my heart too now is hearing them have conversations with like their grandmother, their abuela on my wife's side, who's from Nicaragua, and Nana and Papa on my side, and very different conversations. But it's so cool because you can see how they kind of postulate someone's purpose. Like what makes them happy? And I go, well, what if your purpose was just be a happy, God loving individual that participated in life at the fullest level and had no regrets? And they go,
Yes.
wait, what? Your purpose isn't to be like a millionaire or a billionaire? Your purpose isn't to be an influencer? And I go, if that's what you choose to be, but is that really who you are? Oh, wait, you think there's some people who are influencers who that's not their real identity? And I go, well, what they do to make money isn't necessarily who they are at their core. Huh.
Mhm.
So, what decided for you to go into your occupation and help other people as well?
I had one mentor
Hmm.
that made me feel loved. Like I felt so much love from this mentor, so much compassion, so much gratitude to
Mm,
be like, like he make me feel like you're okay.
yes.
The way you are just fine. There are choices out there, but you are just fine. Life is fine. And I felt this like love, like I don't know if I'm describing it correctly, but it's an emotion, a
Hmm.
bundle of emotion, of good emotion that he allowed me to feel,
Mm,
that I'm like, I have to give it back. I can't keep it. I have to give it
beautiful.
back. And I felt this calling. It's my responsibility to give it back. And I went through growth, because
Mm.
at first it's like, oh, I've never done a video before, or gone live. It's like, and the growing process began for me. But it was a moment of a lot of love that I felt from this conference, and I'm like, I have to give it back.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's interesting. I grew up Roman Catholic, and yeah, I mean,
I
well, yeah. Oh, Brook Elementary School, the white shirts with the blue corduroy pants, the old boys Catholic high school, did the whole 9 yards. And it's interesting because our faith has a lot to do with our purpose. And I realized many years ago when someone asked me, "What's the purpose of your life?" And the entrepreneur in me, the business person in me, was like, oh, I want to be a shining example to communities and lead corporations through great moral values and constitution and ethics and presence. And I was like, okay, that you might as well be doing the Miss America way as you're going by, because it sounds like a coined response, right?
Oh, yes.
And then I realized that simplicity is key, and what kills execution is complexity. So getting out of my headspace into my heart space, and I prayed and I asked, I said, what's the answer? And it came like that. And I said, to be a loving, guided gift from God. And so they go, yeah, but what does that mean? What will you do? And I said, anything I'm compelled and called to do. So
Oh,
when you start to live in a space and a grace where you feel that the purpose of your life is to serve, and that doesn't mean that you have to be a pauper. It doesn't mean that you have to give it away for free. What it means is that what you do is you find value, create value, and deliver value.
yes.
And people will find the level of compensatory value that comes along with it. And so will you when you do not devalue self. So, if I were to ask you, Paola, what does it mean to you to be curious and not critical?
It's to find out your perspective, the way that you see it, because I might be looking at from the bottom up, but you might be looking at from the side. And
Correct.
I'm like, let me see. Okay, tell me more. Tell me more.
Right. Because when you think about it, it's almost like if you were able to travel in space around the globe,
Yeah.
and they go, it's the same world, but where it's sunrise or daytime here in Australia, very different point of view. So at some point in time, it really comes down to what are the measurements of differences? Because to your point, it's perspective, and everyone has an opinion about everything
Yes.
as we attach meaning to different things.
Yes.
So, are there any pet projects, like things that you are so compelled by right now, where you're spending most of your time?
Yes, I am. I'm preparing to write a book.
Beautiful.
So
That's
So that's
awesome.
yeah, so that's kinda like my next big project, and, I am continuing to develop my role as a leader, helping at the church. Right now, they're calling me to play a role, and I am playing full out because that's why
Awesome.
we're here to do, right? Play full out,
Yes,
as life is happening. So
it's happening for you and not to you. So
ex
the advantages are there, right? When opportunities avail themselves. And that's a big part of this too. We started noticing that for some people, they were getting stuck in the what ifs. Well,
yeah,
what if this happens? And I go, like what? Like monkeys fly out of your roof? I don't understand. What are you talking about? They go, monkeys fly out of my roof. I said, well, it's as likely to happen as what if,
yes,
right?
and it's fear. Like, if I ask myself, "Well, what if this happened?" I know it's fear that is tapping on my knocking on my door, and I'm like, it's like, I know better, And like you said, with faith, it's like I pray and I train myself. I pray, that praying and the training is always going so that I can continue to play full out.
Well, it's interesting because there's three beautiful definitions of fear. One is faith everything and rise, so that you faith everything and rise. And it's like, ooh, I like that. Another one is freak everything and run. They're like, freak this. I'm out of here. No, I'm not doing this. And then the last one is that well, we start to understand what fear really is. It's just a false expectation appearing real. And that perspective that you spoke about was that we've actually attached a meaning to something that may not even be real, but the brain does not know it's real or perceived. The 10 million-year-old monkey brain that God put in us, he goes, I better give these humans the ability to recognize a saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah.
That is a coconut tree. That's a saber-toothed tiger. Run towards this because there's fruit and you can climb it, and you get away from this. But if you don't get away from this, that fear factor, and so people go, well, how will you know there's a tiger? They go, oh, you'll hear it, you'll smell it, you'll see it. They go, if you see it, it's too late. So we start to get triggered by different anchors. And we're like, okay, because if I'm always turning my attention towards the fear, you're always going to get more of it because your brain doesn't know any better. So it's only looking for evidence. Like, is there a tiger? Is there? You're like all this beauty around you, like tiger. You're like, it is not even a tiger; it's a squirrel. So, what would you say to someone that is debilitated by fear?
To stop it, to say stop, stop. Be conscious of it. Say stop.
Yes.
And fill it in with something exciting. And I am a true proof of that. Right now, my 18-year-old is driving and he's like, Mom, I'm going to church. Mom, I'm going, with my friends.
Oh yeah.
And when I hear the phone ring, I worry, and fear used to, knock on my door and continues to knock on my door. And I'm like, stop. He met Adam Sandler. He's going to tell me all about it. Stop. When I get that fear, I said, stop. He's going to tell me that something awesome happening in his life. So I turn it around
Yes.
when I'm conscious of it. So I invite all of our beautiful audience, especially if you're a parent, we
Mm,
worry about our kids, and we can help it, by turning it around, by saying stop, build that scotoma in our brain and fill it in with good things. It's
yes.
like he's gonna tell me something amazing, something awesome happened to him, and he cannot wait to tell me. So I turn it around when I detect that it's bothering me, and I'm like, okay, this is not it's a negative thought, so stopped.
It's beautiful. I always say to folks, slow down and breathe. Just slow down and breathe,
Yeah.
and ask yourself, how are you feeling? How are you feeling at this moment? And they go, nervous. Okay. What does that mean? Well, I'm just concerned. Okay. So, what are you concerned about? Well, are they all right? You know, what would make you feel better? Do you need to feel a different way? They go, yes, secure. Go, okay. So, what would have to happen in order for you to feel secure? And they go, oh, well, Maybe just know that they're okay. I said, well, then text them. Just ping them for a moment, not to bother them. Just say, thinking of you. Want to make sure you're having a great time. Oh, I like that. I said, oh, and if you have an Apple device, you could go ahead and locate him and just make sure and just go, "Yep, they're there. He's at church. I'm sure he's having a wonderful time." So to your point, there is a level of faith though that goes along with all of this. And it's an underpinning. It's the fact that you get in a car and you drive on a highway or a road and there's traffic coming this way, and you're like, there's a little painted line in the middle of the road. And there's an understanding. You stay on your side, I'll stay on my side. I go, that takes a lot of faith, right? Because it's like,
Yes.
wait a second. And I know because all three of my kids drive. And I'm like going, whew. So when they leave the house, we say, we love you, make good decisions. I'm like, what? I said, we love you. We got that. What was the second part? I said, make good decisions. And they're like, huh. And they go, why do you say that? I said, because you have a choice. And they go, but would we make bad decisions? I said, not intentionally. So it's just a reminder that you get to, you don't have to.
Yeah.
And this is part of the influence. See, because as we're growing up, Paola, I have this concept, and I'd love to get your feedback on this. When we're young, we fake it till we make it. Because when you're learning how to walk, you fake it. You're like trying to crawl, you're rocking back and forth. Some people are on their belly, some people are on their back, some people crawl backwards instead of forward. It's the craziest thing. And so they're like, oh yeah, but they're trying really hard. And I go, yeah, they're faking it because they're watching everybody else. And they go, that looks cool. I want to go there too. If I could just pull myself up and reach the cookie jar. If I, it's like, and it's all filled with possibilities in that very infantile mind and body. And then I go, then they face it as they make it. And it's like, okay, I gotta. And now I'm grabbing onto stuff, I'm grabbing pant legs and falling on my bottom. That's why God gave us such big bottoms as babies with diapers. It's like a poo petting. This is good. This is good. And then we get to a point as we get proficiency and we're like, wow, I can actually move. Like I remember when my son turned 9 months old. Oh, it was the beginning of the end. Like nothing was safe. Nothing was. We have video of him climbing up on the dishwasher, like opening the dishwasher, climbing up on the lid and feeling around with his little hand to try and get things off the counter. I'm like, okay, MacGyver. Like, so we get to this point where we faith it as we make it. And we have this faith, this belief that there's something bigger than us, that there's guidance, that there's this uniform energy that's looking over us and just washing us and purifying us and creating engagement. And then we get to this point where you and I get to live now, which is beautiful. And we go back and forth between faithing as we make it and believing as we achieve. Because we know there's a higher power. We know there's a higher level. If that's Jehovah, Yahweh, God, the Holy Ghost, the Spirit, energy, Allah, Buddha, Vishnu, whatever the case might be, it's like whoever the higher power is for you, that energy that resides, the creator. It's like, okay, this is remarkable because now it's unfortunate, but we're living with some people that are dying of thirst and they're energetically depleted. And I go, how can that be when you're swimming in a sea of energy, a sea of love, a sea of guidance, a sea of opportunity? What would you say to someone who's famished right now, who's just looking for some connection to a higher power?
I would say life is great. Life is great. Continue to practice to walk until you walk. Because this came from Les Brown,
Yep.
and it's like, it blew my mind whenever they asked him this question. Where he's like, well, I've been doing this, and that, and I have not achieved what I want. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, he said something similar to like, keep going because once you walk, you walk. It's like, continue, please continue, get a hold of your higher power because it's easier for It's been easier for me because I watch my family, go to church, go to mass and pray. It's
Sure.
easier for me to say, but wherever you're at, get a hold of something. Get a hold of something and keep going. Do not give up. Keep going until you walk.
That's beautiful. There's an important facet to this, right? And it's the power of language. So like neurolinguistics programming, if it's neuroencoding, if it's NAC, neurosocial conditioning. I've had a lot of exposure to Joseph McClendon and of course Vinu Keller, who's a very dear friend of mine, and some amazing strategists over the years. And I've got to collaborate with many of them. And what I started to find is it's so imperative because we talk about this for other people, and yet we don't eat our own cooking sometimes. And I say, wouldn't it be beautiful if you could meet people where they're at,
Yes.
and not where they're hoping to be or where we wish them to be? There's this concept of hopium, and it has become a very, very addictive drug. More potent than sugar, more addictive than caffeine. And hopium is where people are hoping good things and prosperity will happen for them. And they go, well, is hope a bad thing? I said, hope without action is hopium.
Yes.
And that can become challenging.
And confusing.
Extremely. And someone said, well, how do you cure hopium? I said, by being an active participant in your own salvation.
That's beautiful.
Because at the end of the day, another technique, another insight, distinction, theory, hypothecation, if not exercised and put into practice, it's like a weight. The weight is just a mass. What you do with the weight is what gives you results. So you can decide to lift it, push it, curl it, throw it, bounce it. I said, all these different engagements will give multi-purposes to that particular, if we want to call it, tool. But if I just take that tool and I put it on my shelf, which is what most people do with their books and with their pamphlets and even notes that they've written down, they do not put into practice what they have been preaching. And yet they go out and try and teach other people this, and they haven't even put it into practice themselves. I was like going, wait, that's like me going to flight school. And because someone gave me the control, the yoke of the airplane for about an hour when we were in the air, but I didn't take off and I didn't land. They did that. But after 6 days, I'm like going, I could teach somebody else to do this. I'm like, you teach them once. That's it. And they go, what do you mean? Because you'd probably crash. So you'd only have one time. Was it worth it? So when we say repetition is the mother of all skill, do you have an epiphany in a moment, and from that point forward, you no longer need to pray? You no longer need to practice that connection with the higher resource. So what would you say to someone? They go, yeah, I did that once.
I'd say it's not enough. I say that you're probably thinking, but I'm a good human. I do good. I'm a good person. Okay, so show me your habits.
Yes.
Because it's a challenge to develop a habit, right? It's determination and discipline has to be involved. So a lot of people, we can talk about finances, the percentage of people that don't know how to deal. And I was one of them. And I remember saying, but I'm a good person. Why? It's like, why is my bank account in $5? I made all the payments.
Yep.
I'm a good mom. I tried to be a good person, good wife. But it's like, why? Well, because my behavior towards money, I wasn't disciplined with it. But now I am, because I care about it. I'm a good person.
Sure.
But I'm adding new skills. Same thing with my marriage. I can tell you it hasn't been beautiful for 20 years. It's been challenging, especially at the beginning and the middle of it. So I was a good person. I choose to be a good mom. I choose to be a good wife. But sometimes it just did not click in our marriage, right? Because I didn't have the good habits, the good skills that would communicate to him that I loved him.
Well,
So
that's beautiful. And you bring up a great point. And I'm going to ask, because was it the habits or was it cultivating a culture and conditioning where now we can create better communication, right? Because here's what's interesting about this habits. I used to have the privilege of being a head trainer for an event for Tony Robbins called GYLS. It's for young adults, and we have an amazing speaker. I love giving credit to Source, and a friend of mine, Marlon Smith. And Marlon has this saying about habits, and it's actually an acronym. It's called REPO.
Repo.
REPOH. I know. And people go, this is how you develop a habit. He goes, the first one, the R stands for repetition. Repetition. And then because he has these movements that go with it too, because it gets it into your body. And he goes, but it needs to be easy. Easy. And he goes, you know what makes repetition hard though? When there's no pleasure. So let's add in some pleasure. So he goes, pleasure, pleasure. So he's like, repetition, it's easy, it's pleasurable. So when you want to do it? All the time. He goes, yeah, so let's add in the O. Let's do it often.
Often.
So it's like, wait a second. So if you put in the repetition and it's easy and you get pleasure from it and you're doing it often, it becomes a habit. Repo. And so I share this with you because here's the deal. In the past, I thought that in order to have discipline, it's like conditioning. I'm going to go build muscle, so I have to do heavier weights. I have to lift heavy. Ordinary things done consistently produce extraordinary results. And I was like, ooh. So if it's repetition, it's easy, and it's pleasurable, and I'm like, so that's the ordinary thing I'm doing over and over and over again. And they go, give me an example. I said, breathing. You don't even think about it. They're like, what? I was like, think about it for a second. They go, I don't want to. I'm breathing just fine, thank you. I'm on automatic. I'm on autopilot. And I said, that's because your unconscious mind is conditioned. Your heart beats over 100,000 times a day. You didn't even ask for this gift, but the good Lord in the universe saw fit to gift you with it. And the Lord is tricky because he actually added something in, and this is scientific. He actually added in sensory neurite molecules, cells that line the bottom part of your heart. And did you know, Paola, that these cells mimic the exact same composition of the cells in your brain?
Didn't know that.
And you only have about 35,000 to 40,000 of them in your heart.
Oh,
That's
wow.
it. But this is when you go, oh, my heart's heavy. Oh, my heart's light. It's full. Oh, I'm disappointed. I don't know why. I just feel off today. It's like, well, maybe your intuition. And for women, there's an association between the sensory neurites and their gut. And they go, it just doesn't feel right. Honey, I don't think we should do this investment. You know what? There's just something off about this person. I can't put my finger on it, but I can feel it. And I'm like going, well, okay, then honor your feelings. No offense to anyone. It's just like, okay, not for us. It's like, okay, cool. Why? I can't put my finger on it. But I've also learned to trust that when my wife has intuition, I have one of these and two of these. I use them in the order that God gave them to me. I have more of these than this. I keep this shut and I open these and listen. I wish I would have done it more early in our relationship because it probably would have saved me millions of dollars. True story.
Oh.
I share this because, to your point, there's this conception about keeping standards, in that in our Christian faith, we have these very strong principles and belief systems. I go, we have 10 commandments, we have, basically rituals and rules that we abide by. And I go, that's great. And people go, yeah, so yes, Chuck, how do you use it? And I said, it's my moral compass.
Yeah.
So for you, Paola, when you're living in this space and grace and then its identity as a mother and as a wife, who are you as a woman?
As a woman, I am someone that it's breaking through barriers. It's someone that is choosing to shine God's light. I
Love
am
that.
an instrument. I choose to be his instrument. And I continue to train myself every day, be better. Every day, be better, because there's always an opportunity. There's always a choice
Yes.
to grow or not to grow. So, as a woman, I choose to be better and better each day. I remove the fear. If I feel that someone does not want to connect, it's okay. We were meant to connect, and I continue to see where I'm heading, because where I'm heading is way bigger than myself. And I notice, like, for any women out there that might get their feelings hurt because someone might not want to connect with you,
Mm,
it's okay. See the bigger picture, see where you're heading, because you're bigger than, than that relationship that you wanted to work, but it didn't work.
sure.
So, it's like, that's who I am. It's like, I'm continue to choose to grow and be a better instrument of God.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. It is so important for all of you listening out there that you understand that you're not broken. No one is. And there'll be times when you may not feel as full, compelled, accepted. And please remember, as Paola just so beautifully illustrated, that what someone else thinks about you really is none of your business. That as much as you love to be able to connect with everyone, and connection is a huge part of our identity and our being, understand that the relationship that you have with the eternal, with the energy around you, what flows in you, through you, with you, around you, that you get to share this with other people. And this may sound a little contradictory. I'm going to ask a favor of all of you, and that is, be selectively selfish in making yourself a priority. Now, why? Paola, you serve so many people and you serve at a high level. So, can you remind the listening audience how you take care of yourself?
I pray, I drink plenty of water, I eat, fruits and vegetables, try to keep my temple. My body is my temple. So I try to keep, try to work out, keep it on the schedule. That's how I grow. I continue my trainings. I train and I train every day. I listen to Chuck. Please listen to this podcast, because you will grow. The one word, the one phrase that you get out of it, it will help you at least to rumble on your head and better that relationship with your kids, with your husband, with your coworker, your spouse.
That's beautiful. I would love to remind everyone that when you are finding and creating your purpose, remember you're not your doings. There are things that we feel that we need to do, that we're called to do, and that you get to do. And when you understand that you can be doing your best but not being your best, that when you're being your best, you'll always do your best. So the gift is slowing down a little bit, not always feeling like you have to be pushed to the have tos, and acknowledging the get tos, right? I get to exercise my faith. I'm not limited. I'm not being chastised publicly for exercising my faith. And it's a little frightening right now, because there are places in the world that we don't hear about where this is happening. We received word in Nicaragua that priests are being arrested.
Oh, wow.
I, it's that I'm like, wait, what? Devout, holy men who dedicated their life in service to God. Their mission is to serve other people. And because they pray, because they give grace to God, because they spread the good word, they're being incarcerated.
Wow.
So I share this because that's the devotion, that's the commitment and the connection that people have to their faith. And I espouse to you that, again, what someone else thinks about you is none of their business, because they probably don't even know you. They don't know the real you. They may see actions, they may see, and they're having a reaction to things that you in your occupation or within the scope of your responsibilities have been asked to participate and facilitate it. So if someone's feeling judged, Paola, what are some of the ways that you have found for you that you could open up space to feel more connected to self and create clarity for those that you love?
I ask myself, let's say there was an interaction and you didn't feel that connection or you felt that rejection is like, were you doing it with love?
Mm,
Were you bringing love? Is that what you were feeling? Gratitude? Were you, do you have your faith, integrity, and courage?
mm,
That's one of my compass when I feel guilt, where it's like, oh, is this something I did? And then I go back, no, 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 no. I'm love. I'm
yes.
gratitude because I choose to be grateful for every single second. Life is happening to me. This interaction that I didn't feel good about it, it's happening for me for a reason. But it's
Yes.
like, go back to your identity, like your ground. Get grounded, whatever grounds you. In my case, is like I ask myself, is like, gratitude, integrity, faith, love, and courage. Because
Yeah.
courage will make us grow.
Oh, it does. Well, and I would say that it takes courage to get on the other side of fear.
Yes.
That limitation of self and vulnerability is probably one of the most underrated and most blessed engagements we can have. And people go, wait, are you crazy? Like exposure? And I go, yes. Why not? If not now, then when? So, Paul, I mean, well, you and I could talk for days. I mean, I can feel that in you, my sister, and I appreciate that. Um, what would you say as we're getting ready to wrap up? What advice would you like to leave the listening audience?
We're here to give you a hand. Get up. It's like,
Beautiful.
get up right now. Get up. We're here to give you a hand. The one word, the one phrase you heard from this show, choose one word, one phrase that will help you get up with that strength, because life is beautiful. And yes, you are a beautiful human. And maybe you just might need to change your habits towards money, towards your, family, towards your uh, workplace. But we're here for you. This show was created for you to, we're sharing our experiences and our growth, but we're giving you a hand today. Get up. Life is beautiful and
Um,
enjoy the journey.
Absolutely. Paola, thank you so much. I want to remind you all too, to Paola's point, find mentors, find people who are actually going to hold you accountable and help you elevate. I've spent the last, oh my gosh, 35 years in, I'll say, self-development and life enhancement. And I don't call it, personal development. I go, because what am I developing? More of me? So it's actually life enhancement. I'm just enhancing the life, this gift that I've already been blessed with.
Yeah.
So reach out to Paola, reach out to us. Paola, is there a website? Is there a place where people can come and find you?
Yes, my website and email is paola@paolaguthrie.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I'm there. I'm here to serve you.
Oh,
With
that's
a question, do not feel like, oh, she's going to charge me. No, just ask me a question and I'll share with you, based on that question, my experience.
love it. Love it. I'm going to remind everyone too that you can look us up at yblnow.com. It is literally about, again, you are the company you keep. So I have chosen to surround myself with remarkable people. Like Vinu is a member of our community. She's also a strategist with us. And the reason why I bring this to your attention is it's not enough to just get really successful in business. It's not enough to just develop healthy habits around money. Money literally will assist with money issues, but it will not save your marriage. At the end of the day, faith, family, fitness, and finance are four fundamentals. And we've added two interesting ones as well, and that's fun and fantasy.
Ooh.
Because again, if you're going to make it a habit, it needs to be easy and fun. It needs to be easy and pleasurable. So at the end of the day, take time for yourself. If you're looking to grow a business, please reach out to us. we actually have an entire curriculum that will help you move further, farther, and faster so you can develop yourself. Because a rising tide raises all ships. But if in faith, family, fitness, and finance, one of them is being anchored and the others are rising, they all suffer. And so you can have the most blessed, beautiful relationship in the world, and other areas may not be as flourishing, irrespective if you're a beautiful, bright light. So I share with you that this show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check us out for all the news and all the programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Paola, thank you for your time, and you're a gift. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Blessings to you all.